And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of race number 13, playoff race number 4 of season 59 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. This is the elimination round where we will whittle it from the Elite 8 down to the final 4 that will compete in the final 2 races of the season to see who will be hoisting the championship trophy. Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman. And Michael, it's super close around that cut line. No driver last week locked themselves in via a victory. We'll be talking a little bit more in depth about last week's finish in regards to the results coming into tonight, but it's basically just down to accumulate points. If you're any of these 8 drivers moving on to the final 4, yeah, you could win your way in, but I honestly think you got to be thinking about just points between you and the rest of your competition, especially around that cut line.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be all about positions where you can find them, where you can get them. If you have good luck and your opponents have bad luck, I mean, it's a crapshoot now. But this is how close the points are and everything. It's all about monitoring where your positions are and where you finish in these races. And oh yeah, I'm so glad to be back now. I think it was 2 weeks away, and I missed a lot.
Yeah, a lot happened between the last time you were in the booth and now. We of course have a much smaller playoff field, but those drivers right now that are still in the hunt for that championship opportunity in the final 4 consist of the following, and this is based off of their positioning in the point standings right now. Brian Schilling comes in leading the points in the second round. Rodney Sullins is second, Grant Wesley third, Bob Seminara in fourth, then Bernie Mobbs in fifth. He had a really good run last week. That was key to him moving above the cut line. Jeremy Jeffries right now in 6th, of course, the 3-time winner. Terry Bombard in 7th, and Greg Palmer in 8th. Now, Greg is going to be an interesting driver here tonight because he missed last week after advancing into the round of 8. He has a total of 41 points behind the points lead, but he is also only about 28 points behind 4th in the standings. Tonight, based off of the last 4 weeks, this is the largest field we have had. 34 drivers going to be taking the green flag, so a lot of points on the table. If you're a driver like Greg Palmer, do you have to tackle this as a must-win race, or do you think you can fall back on a consistent top 5 and maybe point your way in?
I mean, you can probably fall back pretty good. It's just going to be all about, being up there and how well you feel like your car can be and how well you can time it, really, Seth. I mean, one lap you could be in the front, the next lap you could be in the back. So relying on where you can try to finish in your positions, I think would be a lot, or asking a lot when it comes to racing at Talladega.
Yeah, things at super speedways, whether it be Talladega or Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, always seem to change, sometimes every lap, sometimes every corner, and sometimes every week. Last week, we ended up seeing Joe DeSpirito take the checkered flag, but during this past week, admins looked back at the lap 51 incident. It was deemed the responsibility of the 24. He was penalized, and thusly Greg Hagley comes into tonight as a Tally Challenge winner as we are under the green, and that's huge for driver 32 based on the fact that we've had a couple of drivers go to victory lane in the past. They cross the line in second, don't realize that the following week they are an RTG winner, so we'll see how that works out for Hagley as far as confidence, as he had a good starting spot here tonight as well. Started this race from, I believe it was the 11th position and is already up to around 7th place here going into turn 3.
I apologize if you were saying something I didn't hear it. I had somebody whispering in my ear. That was really loud.
Nope, that's okay. I actually ended up missing the start here as well. Didn't realize they had rolled off the grid, so was not able to give the starting lineup. But Greg Palmer,
great job, Seth. Very, very professional.
Yeah, well, sometimes it happens. You'll see the lineup on the top of your screen here, though.
Will you?
Of where they're running.
Okay, where they're running. I was going to say it's starting lineup because
no, not the starting lineup. You'll see where they're currently scored after crossing the line. Oh, we're already under caution because of the wreck in the back straightaway.
That is a big one. That's the big one. That is. Oh, the 28 flipping. Mark Paglia flipping over upside on his side, trying to flip back over, and then he gets back on all 4 wheels. That was very quick.
And I'm looking to see.
All I saw was the one of Jeremy Jeffries get turned into the outside wall.
Yeah, I think there was contact between him and Craig Hagley, I think was the other truck that I saw get out of shape. I'm looking for playoff drivers here. There is Rodney Sullins in the 38.
Oh, no, it was the 23. The 23, I think, just lost it, overcorrected, and yeah, Doug Hulick. I think he could have got, it might have been bumper grab. He might have bumper grabbed off the back of the 43 right here. Yep, and then he just turned up the track into the 1.
Caution out for the first time tonight.
And
Greg Palmer led us back to the caution, and we'll go back and take a more in-depth look of what happened on the back straightaway. It looked like maybe, we'll obviously have to find out via the replay, but maybe about 3 playoff drivers got bits and pieces of that. I see the 1, 4, and 38 as possibilities.
I'm gonna write on, well, you guys can't see my screen obviously, but I'm gonna look at the far chase view of the Doug Hulick and see what happened here.
Focus here on
he's
the
right,
1 and the 23 off of 2.
He goes to about the right side of the bumper.
Yeah,
and then,
definitely bumper grab.
Yep, right there. He tries to come down to stay connected to him, and then the bumper grab just turned him up into the 1.
A lot of times you can tell if it is that dreaded bumper grab, and one of the telltale signs was just how quickly that 23 darted back to the right. There's Rodney Sullins top of your screen. There's Brian Schilling also top of your screen there. Don't know if either one of those drivers got involved. Jeremy Jeffries did. Had some, looked like left side damage as he passed by on the back straightaway. Let's focus on 38 of Rodney Sullins and see if on the right side of the screen we can find the 4 of Brian Schilling as well. Oh, just gets clipped by Jeremy Jeffries there, does Sullins. There's Paglia, top of your screen, flipping over with Joe DeSpirito, Chuck McClure. I think Schilling got through unscathed. I think he got on the brakes quickly enough. Everything happened kind of in front of him. I don't think he got any damage. Let's take a look at the barrel roll there by Mark Paglia.
Mark Paglia had if you look on his cockpit camera, and I'm not sure if he what view he races in, but it looked like he just had kind of no time to react. You saw it happen so fast, everyone started slowing down. He ran into the back of the 17 of Chuck McClure, and just then as he was spinning, I'm not sure if he grip flipped or if it was just a product of spinning.
That was definitely grip flip. Car was completely 90 degrees perpendicular to the direction it was supposed to be going, and on the brakes there. Truck got top heavy and does a barrel roll now. I'm looking to see. Do a barrel roll. I'm looking to see. I don't, at least on my end, I don't see any visible roof damage. Sometimes with grip flips, if you're lucky, you can get away with little to no damage, even if the truck does go over. But as usual, when it comes to super speedways and moderate damage, it's always that kind of wait and see game once they get up to speed, whether or not they're going to still be competitive and able to stay up in the draft. Let's take an onboard here with Brian Schilling in the 4 and see if I am correct in him completely avoiding this. He started at the rear of the field, left the grid from the 28th position.
The first one was highlight. He might have hit the outside a couple times. Yeah,
he got make some contact. Yep,
hit the outside, and then he got
56
hit behind. Yeah, he definitely was involved in it a little bit, but that might be minimal damage.
Yeah, make contact with the outside wall there. Maybe left front damage with the 56.
Well. Look at Shelton's on board. She made it through pretty good too. She only hit one car in terms of slowing down, but that was some good wreck avoidance too. You can see a very good view of the one car. Right
also getting on board as well. Grant Wesley in just a moment. It was Bernie Mobbs that was to her left there. 31 got through, though he had to slow. There's Donnie Garrett, 77 involved. And I believe that just right there was the 32 Craig Hagley. So did we have a follow-up track further up towards turn 3? Or was that just more trucks that were spinning out as a result? We'll get the onboard here with Grant. And then I didn't see the 77 involved in the wreck. He was around up here. Maybe Grant will give us an idea. There's Dave Nelson up there, the 038. I didn't know he was involved. Donnie Garrett just up ahead there, and then there is Craig Hagley in the 32 getting himself spun back around. I think the 77 and the 32 were involved, unless maybe just their spins were longer and covered more distance than some of the others. Oh no, they were right in the middle of it too, so I guess they just had longer spins. Yeah, Donnie Garrett was right behind this. Makes contact with Hewlick, and then Hagley was the truck that caught air right there. Bob Seminara, nice avoidance in the 712. He picked up a lot of spots after he rolled off the grid from 14th. Caution out for the first time here tonight. Didn't see any contact, at least there, that looks like it would take any of the drivers out of tonight's event. But could have some of them maybe off the pace depending on how severe it may be. Nobody came to pit road, at least amongst the top 11.
At least amongst the cars that weren't involved in that wreck.
Yep, so looks like 11th place, or 12th place, Bob Seminara on down. They came to pit road. Some for fuel only, some took on some tires, and as you mentioned, probably about a dozen drivers, maybe getting a little TLC, getting the trucks buffed out here from the contact sustained from that first wreck. Greg Palmer going to get us back underway. As you see the lights out on top of the FRN pace truck. Metallic will line up in second. Ken Roberts third. Fourth place will be Tim Nofsker, then Dante Ricky in fifth. JT Mayhew sixth, Jim Gloud in seventh. Kelly Causey, Bob Dixon, and Wiley Coate are going to complete the top 10. Kind of interesting here, inside of your top 10 in the early going, only one of your Elite 8 is up there, and that is the driver that's in pretty much the must-win situation, Greg Palmer in the 22.
Oh, stayed ahead of everything going on.
Let's talk a little quickly, give everybody an idea of just how close this is for the final four positions. And I'm just going to put out the disclaimer. I'm not really going to try and do the math in my head just because of how close it is. We will wait for the official word. They are very good here at RTG of updating the point stands before we go off the air. We'll give you the unofficial word of who your final four are before the conclusion of the broadcast. But Brian Schilling right now has 13 points up between himself and the fourth in the standings cut line. 3 points up is Rodney Sullins. 1 point up is Grant Wesley. Bob Seminara is the cut line driver, fourth in the standings. Bernie Mobbs is -3. Jeremy Jeffries is -4. Terry Bombard is -10. And we already documented 28 points back Greg Palmer. I mean, any one of these drivers that I just mentioned could easily be above or below the cut line based off of circumstances here tonight. When you look at it, you think, well, Brian Schilling's safe, right? He's 13 to the good. A bad incident that takes him out of the race with 34 drivers in the field, he easily could fall below the cut line here tonight. Nobody's safe.
Nope, nobody at all. Not with points that close.
Green flag set to come back out here as they make their way down towards the start-finish line. Green flag flies for Greg Palmer on lap 7. Let's see if maybe that first initial yellow flag kind of puts these drivers a little bit more in a conservative mode, and they settle into a bit of a long run.
We've watched enough races to know that that's not going to happen.
I know that usually whenever we end up having the early yellow, they go right back to 3-wide racing.
Look,
and
here we go.
They're thinking about it.
Just Metallic on the outside.
Big push from Tim Nofsker and JT Mayhew. Greg Palmer got put in the middle for a brief moment. Milt Surratt backed out and tucked back in line behind. Oh, no, we got a wreck again, and that was a warp wreck. One's up into the catch fence. That's JT Mayhew. There's a lot of drivers in this one. Dave Melson is up and over. Craig Hagley up and over as well. Caution out for the second time here tonight.
Oh,
and this one was in the corner, so a lot more damage, a lot more hard hits sustained. Kelly Causey, I think he's done.
Yeah, Kelly Causey had smoke coming out.
There's JT Mayhew. He was the one that visited all 3 stories of the catch fence.
And that was Milt Surratt, I believe, that that started that, it just randomly, I think, like you said, it was a warp wreck. He just randomly warped up into the 088. It's
There's
right there.
Novsker.
Yep.
Like Glenn Harris got a little damage there on the right rear. Again, I didn't see really any of our 8 playoff contenders in the middle of all that, but let's go back and take a look. Been a rough patch here last couple of weeks for driver 338, JT Mayhew. And does not get any better here tonight. Go back to turn 3. You'll see the little side-to-side by the 80. Kelly Causey nowhere to go. Wiley Coate, Richard Martin, they pound the outside wall. Shelton gets spun down to the apron. There's Melson upside down further back there. Hagley's truck, I don't think went completely over. On his side for a good while, though.
Yeah,
Nelson.
that was a lot of melee right there.
And it's the toughest area of the racetrack, I think, when you're in a corner, because it's a lot harder to figure out where the trajectory of a moving truck is going to be with the banking. When you think they're going to go up, they may go down. It's a little easier to gauge on the straightaways. It's not 100% easy, but it is easier to kind of figure it out. In the corners, though, especially here in the middle of the corner, very difficult to figure out where the spinning truck is going to be by the time you enter into the scene.
Yeah, for real.
Look at Kelly Causey, 2-time winner on the season, just nowhere to go. Wrong place, wrong time. Man, he actually got flung up higher than JT Mayhew. I saw the 338 on our initial camera shot going up in the air. I didn't know there was another truck even higher up above the catch fence than he was. That was Buckshot. As you see all the drivers kind of make their way through, I, again, do not think any of our 8 playoff drivers were involved. See if we can get a good onboard going into 3. I think Joe DeSpirito in the 24 might be able to give us a good shot of what occurred up in the catch fence there. Contact and wow. Spirito did get a piece getting into the 5 with Wiley Coate. A little bit of front end damage with the 24. And bear in mind, Michael, this is the venue they're going to have to come back to in 2 weeks' time for whoever advances into the Final Four with the championship hanging in the balance. Remember that this is the elimination race, elimination race for the round of 8, the elimination race here for the round of 4. And of course, it's based off of the most points accumulated between BSR and Talladega, but this is the venue where the championship is going to be decided. We were not here, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago when the race took place for establishing the round of 8, but based off of this being an elimination race, if I'm the Final 4 drivers, I might be circling Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next week as the place to kind of make sure I get all the points I can, because Talladega's kind of proving to be a tad bit unpredictable, at least here in this one.
Yep, it's going to be crazy.
Robbie Nice is going to stay out. He'll get a lap lead, as you saw Milt Surratt and a few others hitting pit road. Not yet gotten the 1 to green. We should be getting the indication within the next lap or 2. So we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. And then we'll be back here to the action from Talladega Super Speedway. You're not going to miss a thing as it happens live, because we're taking you FRN side by side. The following presentation of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series on the Flatout Racing Network is brought to you by Ultimate Garage Floors. Ultimate Garage Floors is very active in the garage remodeling community, staying current with the latest technologies and custom configurations so that we can bring you the highest quality installations. As a Northern Virginia Exposy flooring installer, We focus on garages and commercial flooring to perfect our craft and bring you high results. In a space that gets as much wear and tear as your garage, you want to be able to trust that the cabinets and flooring we install are ready to withstand against high traffic and regular use. That is why we include a lifetime warranty with our services, so that you know we stand behind the quality of our work. To get started with a free consultation, call us at 540-931-9006 or visit us on the web at ultimategaragefloorsva.net. That's ultimategaragefloorsva.net. Lights out atop the Pace truck. We're getting ready to go back racing here, working our second caution already tonight. Our second big one, and this one is going to take drivers out of the race. Kelly Causey and JT Mayhew back in the garage area. They will get credited for 33rd and 34th respectively. Greg Palmer, who has led the most laps so far, 7 laps led after he inherited the pole position when Billy Elliser, who was the initial pole sitter, decided to take the voluntary EOL. In a must-win situation, doing everything he can to keep that number 22 out in front. Josh Metallic will line up to his outside. Bob Seminara, Jim Gloud in row number 2. Grant Wesley was in 5th, and he just disappeared. Hopefully the 88 reappears. That's one of our Elite 8 drivers. Oh, there he is. He's reappeared on the apron. Bit of a scary moment there. So he'll be 5th, Joe DeSpirito 6th, then Bob Dixon, Jeremy Jeffries, Mike Rogers, and Dante Ricky. That is going to be the top 10 when we go back green. 32 drivers still running, all 32 at this point in time on the lead lap. But
Yeah,
as mentioned,
after those two big wrecks, I'm surprised to see as many cars running still.
Yeah, 2 big ones here in the early going. Let's see what we have in store for our second restart of the night, as Palmer and Metallic, a couple of Chevy Silverados, get ready to put us back under the green flag. One driver I have noticed in the last couple of incidents, and granted we haven't run that many laps under green, so he hasn't had the opportunity to gain a ton of track position, but he has kind of utilized it to his benefit, is Brian Schilling. We mentioned that he started pretty deep in the field, the points leader coming into tonight of the 8 playoff drivers, and both wrecks, he's just kind of come to a stop and let all the mayhem occur around him. Be interesting to watch and see when he decides it's time to finally start making some forward progress. I believe he restarted 14th on this restart. And another driver that started deep in the field on this restart was Rodney Sullins. I think he came to pit road at the 1 to green, restarted all the way back in 30th. So, you know, we talk about giving up track position at the short tracks and the speedway. It's easy to make it up here if you got a fast truck and a lot of people that will work with you at a super speedway, but based off of what we've seen here so far with the early cautions, I don't know if we want to be back in the eye of the storm.
No, not at all. Might end up not being close enough.
Manera, Grant Wesley, they're both battling to get into the final 4, but at least in the early going right now, I think it's kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. You'll work with whoever you can work with if it helps to benefit you, even if it's someone that you might, in a couple of weeks' time, be duking it out with the championship trophy on the line, but their inside line is not getting the momentum. Palmer on the outside, at least clear for the moment, off of the nose of Bob Seminara, as he's trying to lead Josh Metallic and Jim Gloud around in that second lane. One thing that we ended up seeing, Michael, that to be honest, I don't remember seeing in quite a while. Back when we had that warp wreck, they were running double wide in the middle line. That was something we saw a lot in previous seasons, but have not seen that as much here at Talladega this season. It was interesting that they went back to it here, and now was, oh my gosh, Jim Glaude nearly just ate it into turn 3, as that was a very late move, and I think there was contact between him and Bob Seminara.
There very well might have been. It looked like it was just such an abrupt turn to the inside there.
It almost kind of reminded me of the, you'll probably remember this, the Alex Bowman block on Joey Logano back at Talladega a few years ago. Didn't work out so well for Bowman. Loud was able to survive there, though. He was on the apron in turn 3. Joe DeSpirito, remember we were on board with him earlier. He made contact with Wiley Coate, and that wreck over in turn 4. Doesn't look like any damage sustained on that truck has affected his speed.
And it seems like all the trucks out here seem to, with the exception of possibly Robbie Nisus, is going to be able to stay with the pack here. Robbie just kind of falling back a little bit. He might be losing it slowly.
Yeah, we saw just before we went to the side-by-side when he was leading, looked like some pretty extensive damage was on the left side of that machine, which I was rightfully corrected this week. I thought that it was the Fred Jones truck. It actually is Jones Soda is the sponsorship on that number 54 Toyota. But right now, just trying to stay in touch with the tail end of this group as middle line has prevailed. Palmer, Metallic, Jeffries, Ricky, and Schilling now the top 5, and Chuck McClure going to clear into the 6th position. A lot of drivers up here, former playoff contenders as well, that are still trying to end out the season if they can with a victory. Metallic and McClure got eliminated back from the round of 8. You got Dante Ricky right there, who runs in a part-time capacity, a former winner this season. So, you know, that's another big reason why I kind of think if you're any of the drivers, maybe with the exception of Greg Palmer, who's in a must-win situation, any of the other drivers up here in the top 8 in the playoff points, you got to be thinking more points than you are win, because there's a lot of non-playoff drivers that want that checkered flag, and they might be willing to take more risks than you are.
Yep, exactly. And that's what you got to be worried about too, is, you know, you not only have to worry about the moves you've got to make in order to keep your spot, but you got the people outside who if by winning can lock themselves in, they're going to be a little bit more desperate.
Yeah, I feel like that's a conversation we had on more than one occasion with Brian Schilling. He was in a couple of last lap battles and came up short as the bridesmaid. Granted, though, he brought the truck home in one piece and finished on the podium. Yeah, he didn't get that checkered flag, but it was enough for him to be in the conversation for the regular season championship as well. Got a big chip picture race when you're one of the playoff drivers going up against somebody that's just out there trophy hunting, as now things up at the front have definitely single filed out. I believe we are single file all the way back to around the 16th, 17th position right now.
Yeah, I was about to make a note of that, saying, well, I guess then now they decided they needed to calm down a little bit.
But bear in mind, single file doesn't necessarily mean that we are out of the possibility of a caution coming out. I mentioned that last week's unofficial winner, Joe DeSpirito, got a post-race EOL penalty. The incident was during single file racing, so keep an eye on this, because we could end up having some checkup here. I believe that's a little bit more in depth of what happened with that incident last week. DeSpirito got into the back of a truck that was saving fuel. These couple of early cautions may have shuffled things up in terms of fuel strategy, how many stops to the finish, and some of these drivers might be, if the occasion allows, might be throwing in that clutch and saving just at least a little bit here for the upcoming green flag pit stop.
That's true. That's very true. Could be. What Jeremy Jeffries, though? I mean, head on out into the wall. Here he is in 3rd place.
Had that left side damage, that visible left side damage. Looks like the team has gone to work and they've repaired that pretty well. Jeremy Jeffries, 3-time winner on the season. Still looking for his first checkered flag here at Talladega, though. All 3 of those wins came at BSR in back-to-back-to-back visits. Trying to see if he can advance his way into the Final Four. Now, one thing that I'm not 100% certain about here, and I will look into it this week, I don't necessarily know if you are one of the 8 drivers right now in the playoffs, if you win, if you end up getting extra bonus points for that victory heading into the Final Four, or if it's just straight up all of the Final Four drivers have the same amount of points heading into BSR. So maybe that could be like a little extra incentive to maybe get a checkered flag if you're one of those drivers trying to fight your way into the Final Four. I don't know.
You're never gonna know.
Greg Palmer so far has led 12 laps. He is fighting for every point he can get. Right now he would have the bonus point for a lap led, the bonus point for most laps led. Trying to win his way into the round of 8 after he missed last week's opener of the round of 8. So we'll see if the 22 can get it done. Greg Palmer, former winner this season. He ended up taking the checkered flag in what was another high-pressured situation. That was back in the first playoff race that locked him into this round of 8. So we'll see if he's able to rise to the occasion. Got a lot of your playoff drivers that are up here towards the front now. Jeremy Jeffries there in 3rd, Brian Schilling in 5th, Grant Wesley in 7th, Seminara right now in 9th. So that's 5 of the 8 up inside the top 10. The other 3 are currently running in 20th with Rodney Sullins. Trying to see, wait, where were the other 2? Bernie Mobbs, I missed him. He's 13th.
How could you miss Bernie Mobbs?
I don't know. That beautiful Celsius Dodge. And the other playoff driver, which would be Terry Bombard. Oh, Bombard's not in the field tonight. I didn't even realize that. So that's one driver we know that will not be advancing. Man, that's a tough break because I think if I remember correctly, it was season 46 or 47 was the last time that Bumby made the playoffs.
Bumby?
Oh, that's yeah. If you race enough with these guys, you know the nicknames.
True.
Richard Martin's D-Mar, Terry Bombard is Bumby. Aw, man.
What are you, Sethi?
I'm that guy.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't think I have a nickname.
You do. It's FRN.
It's FRN. It's that FRN dude. So we went back green, if I remember correctly, on lap 12.
Well, then we've been 12 laps green. So
we're about, what,
should see them about
7 laps?
7 laps, yeah.
Yeah. Away from when these drivers are going to have to start thinking about green flag pit stops. And honestly, it's interesting the way that the roles have kind of reversed. In the early going of the season, Burt Screwdriver's Raceway seemed to be the toughest pit road to get onto. But in the last couple of times we've come here to Talladega, this has been the tough place to get onto. The last time we were here at Talladega, obviously, as mentioned, we weren't able to cover it, but we showed the recap of it last week. These drivers went clean and green right up to the first round of green flag pit stops, and then there were about 7, 8, 9 drivers that had incidents below the racing surface, coming to pit road, and luckily were able to get a caution later on in the race. But this Talladega pit road, last couple of visits, has not been kind, and that has got to be something as well that weighs on the mind of these playoff drivers, because you're out here, you've missed 2 wrecks, you're running clean. Oh yeah, and then not the racing surface, but pit road kind of changes your fortunes.
Oh yeah.
Josh Metallic just got shuffled out by Jeremy Jeffries. Still getting a little racy up here at the front, and the bad news for Jeremy Jeffries, unless somebody lets him in, there is a long freight train all the way back to around the 20th position that he is going to drift to. I don't know if he just got caught out there on the back straightaway and left enough space available for Jeremy Jeffries to make a move, or maybe he's dropping back there by choice. Looks like he's slotted in around 9th place. Looked like that was Richard Martin to let the 39 in. Dante Ricky looking a
to
little.
get an outside lane going in the back there. Jessica Shelton leads it currently, but it's not really moving up that fast right now.
Like she has Ken Roberts up there helping her.
Just have a
Rodney
couple of people
Sullins in the
looking
38.
A couple of people looking back there.
Noticing a couple of drivers getting really tight off of turn 2 here in the single file train also.
Well,
Dante Ricky.
That tends to happen mainly because sometimes you got to let off the throttle or kind of tap the brake a little bit to not run into the guy in front of you when you're single file.
Yeah, the checkup.
And in doing so, it kind of knocks your car up. As I just saw a car coming off of pit road.
Cyber, I think.
Yeah, Cy Jones. Ron Hagelin's on pit road right now.
So some of the
Tim
drivers
Knopfler's on the track, but very off the pace.
A couple of drivers that normally come to pit road early might be starting the green flag pit stop cycle. Yeah, Tim Knopfler, don't forget, was the one that Milt Surratt warped into, and then he went up into JT Mayhew and Kelly Causey that then visited the catch fence. So I would assume he's got quite a bit of damage on his Chevrolet. I thought we were going to have somebody from the lead pack pit. Someone was very low there off of 4. I think it was McClure, but he stays out. There's Ron Hagelin returning back to the track in the Coca-Cola 111. There's Novsker, the wounded race car. A lot of rear end damage there. That spoiler sticking pretty high up in the air, so that's got to be killing his straightaway speed. Waiting to see if radios light up here down the back straightaway. These drivers should be able to go another lap, maybe 2, unless you're Greg Palmer. I think if you're Palmer, you have to pit either this lap or next. I don't think you can go any further than that. I think we got some pitters this time by, actually. I'm starting to see some hands out the window. Let's see if it's anybody up here at the front.
I think it's going to be, yep, here we go.
Here comes the leader. Palmer's in, McClure.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh, Mike Rogers got into Mark Paglia, who got into Bernie Mobbs. And that's a playoff driver in the 31.
And he should have backed up instead of continued forward. He probably could have saved a penalty.
Well, I'm not certain he's going to get a penalty, to be honest with you. I think he slid across the commitment line. As long as he wasn't speeding in that spin, he might be okay. But he is going to lose a ton of time with the amount of time that he was sitting there.
You got the telemetry. So if I was him, I'm making an automatic call of just fuel only right now.
Even after sliding the tires there, do you think that?
Yeah. If you want to try to stay with the pack, I would say fuel only, and then.
But would fuel only help you because they're taking 2 cans regardless?
I mean, I feel like you're on pit road slightly less when you take fuel only compared to risking it when you have a 4 tire stop for them making a mistake.
That was close there with Jeff Crivello. He nearly clipped the right rear of Rodney Sullins.
And look at who got out in front of this pack too.
Yeah, Brian Schilling.
We talked about him.
Now the question is, do they tuck in line or do they try and pass him? Like they're going to stay in line.
They got right up to his back bumper.
Yeah, he did. Might be some black and orange paint on the back of the Square D Dodge when all is said and done.
088 up here. Lapped out, obviously, coming to pit road now, but.
Like we're only going to have, at least for the time being, 9 drivers up in this lead pack if Seminara and Despirito are able to latch on. But of course, we're waiting still for drivers from that second group to merge onto the racetrack, which they are doing now. Like Dante Ricky won the battle of that group off of pit road, but he is all by his lonesome. He's going to get swallowed up very quickly.
I think right now it would start running wide. If I was Dante, I would run the high lane in the corner until they start to catch up, and then I would kind of cut it down low.
They're up to speed. Trucks are running the outside line there. And they're going to swing around Dante. We're going to have 7, 8 maybe trucks up in this lead pack.
Dante kind of wanted to, I think he wanted to slide up in line, but maybe wasn't clear, did it a little too early.
Coach Spirito is going to get broken up from Bob Seminara there. He'll have to tuck in with this group. Looks like Metallic might be able to latch on.
Seth, if we stay green, these guys just came to pit road. Let's just say what lap 29-30 right there.
Yeah, 29 I think was when the leader pit.
So if you do 29 plus 19,
48.
So do you think
They-
and then 48 plus 19?
Yeah, 40 plus 19 be 67.
So that would put them one
They should
lap
make
to
it
the
on one
good.
more stop. They should be
Yeah.
able to. But it's right out in the numbers, though, too.
If only these guys are running green-white checkers.
Yeah, that would throw a monkey wrench into the works for sure.
It would make the race longer too, because we've seen how these guys race when it comes to those final couple of laps.
That is true. I've not looked back to see how many races have actually ended under green this season, but I feel like, at least in the past couple of weeks, a majority of our races have ended up ending under the yellow flag. Last week's ended up actually racing it back to the line, but there was a last lap incident, so theoretically caution flew before the checkered flag flew, so the race did theoretically end under yellow. And last week, 2 weeks ago I should say, Rodney Sullins ended up picking up the victory under caution. So last couple of weeks we have had the race end under yellow. As waiting for everything to cycle around here, it looks like
Maybe you ended under yellow.
more oftentimes than I care to admit. I don't know what that even means, but I just went with
I don't know what it means.
when you don't know the punchline, but you just go with the joke.
But you don't even know the joke and you say it anyways.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know, but I said it.
Oh, look out back there. Bobby Nice is in the middle of the track, merging back from his pit stop, and they split him 3 wide. Now get back to single file. Well, that kind of reminded me of if maybe a plane flew into a flock of geese.
The reindeer in Spain was hit mainly by the plane.
Every time. Oh, caution's out. Just noticed the yellow lights
54.
on there in the triangle.
Oh, did the 54 blow up? Yeah, the 54 blew up.
Yeah, I think you're right. Robbie Nice is heading for pit road.
Oh, he money shifted. I think he money shifted. He money shifted, was spinning, and then it blew the motor.
Well, we knew that these drivers, based off of your calculations, they were going to be able to make it on one more pit stop. What does this caution do?
Well,
in
okay, so
terms
let's say
of,
they come to pit road now, lap 35.
I mean, if there was at least like a question mark of if you could make it a one more stop, this makes it a guarantee, right?
Well, I'm trying to do the math here. They come down pit road, lap 34 on the 35, plus 19. That's what? Be what? 40, 54?
53 or 54, yeah.
Okay. So then, yeah, they could still theoretically make it on one stop from here. Even by pitting right now.
To see the exact moment. Right there. There's the money shift for Robbie Nices,
and even though he was already on the apron.
Yeah. Well, that actually has been something that's happened the last couple of weeks, where even drivers, when they get down to the apron off a turn 4, will throw the caution. I think we had 2 incidents, was it about 3-4 weeks ago, where a driver had a mechanical problem. They got down to the apron safely, and the officials waited until all the way to the exit of turn 4 when they were already down off the racing surface to throw the yellows. So
it's going to be interesting right here for the lead. Couple of fuel-only stops. And I think the 22 might have beat the 4.
looks like scoring would say you are correct. Greg Palmer by virtue of
21
the...
stayed out, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Rawson stayed out. Looked like Doug Hulick, Mike Rogers, Cy Jones stayed out. They might pit the next time around here. Might be trying to get a bonus point, Brian Rawson. That's his first lap lead of the day.
Of the
Tim
season.
Nosker, I think, went a lap down. So he should get the lucky dog. He was the only driver off the lead lap. We'll have 31 drivers running, all 31 on the lead lap. Latest retiree, Robbie Nices, joining Kelly Causey and JT Mayhew in the garage area. As we're past the halfway point, let's quickly give you a look at the lap leaders so far tonight. Been the Greg Palmer show out in front. He has led 20 circuits so far. 5 laps led for Josh Metallic. Brian Schilling's been out in front for 3 laps. 2 laps led for Doug Hulick, and then 1 lap led apiece so far for Brian Rawson, Jeremy Jeffries, Milt Surratt, and Robbie Nisus. If these 4 do come to pit road, race lead should cycle back around to Greg Palmer. And it looks like Hulick might be staying out for an extra lap led here. Well, or not, or yes, or not. He's staying out an extra lap. So as we wait for everything to sort itself and find out who's going to restart where as we enter into the second half of this race, we're going to step aside for another commercial break courtesy of Ultimate Garage Floors and take you FRN side by side. The following presentation of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series on the Flatout Racing Network is brought to you by Ultimate Garage Floors. Ultimate Garage Floors is very active in the garage remodeling community, staying current with the latest technologies and custom configurations so that we can bring you the highest quality installations. As a Northern Virginia Exposy flooring installer, we focus on garages and commercial flooring to perfect our craft and bring you high results. In a space that gets as much wear and tear as your garage, you want to be able to trust that the cabinets and flooring we install are ready to withstand against high traffic and regular use. That is why we include a lifetime warranty with our services so that you know we stand behind the quality of our work. To get started with a free consultation, call us at 540-931-9006 or visit us on the web at ultimategaragefloorsva.net. That's ultimategaragefloorsva.net. Getting ready to go back green. Doug Hulick kind of catching us out here during our side-by-side commercial. We thought that we would see the 23 lead lap and then dive onto pit road, but he is actually going to be the leader when we go back green. And we were kind of talking about this. You know, we were mentioning that they were going to make it on one more pit stop. Some of these drivers all coming to pit road to eliminate the question mark of absolutely making it on one pit stop. Hulick apparently feels that saving whatever he can here out of this caution period, puts him in the realm of the one pit stop as well, but gains him a ton of track position.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not that helps or hurts him. But he'll have to come down pit road a lot earlier than the rest of these cars.
About 2-3 laps sooner. And we'll see if he's able to recruit anybody to come down pit road with him, because you will probably need friends on that final money pit stop. It's Hewlick and
if he
Palmer.
comes down pit road anytime after lap 47, then if he can get somebody to come down with him, some friends, then they theoretically could make it the rest of the way.
Should be good to go. Hewlick and Palmer leading us back to the green. Greg Palmer's led the most laps here tonight. If you're just joining us, he did not take part in last week's race, so he is in tonight's event in a must-win situation to advance into the Final Four, which right now, whoever's in the Final Four is a bit of a crapshoot, because look at all the playoff drivers we got up here. The 22, the 4, the 1, the 38, the 7, 12, and the 88, all up inside of the top 8.
I was about to say, wait, is the 88 not part of that anymore?
Yes,
when
he
did
is.
I miss 2 weeks? 2 weeks I've been gone.
We right now have, I believe it's 6 of our playoff drivers up inside of the top 10 right now. The only one that we are missing is Bernie Mobbs. He's back in 21st, but this caution was a big break for him, because remember, he got spun coming to pit road. Lost a ton of track positions. This puts him back up in the hunt to try and advance into the Final Four.
And that it does. I don't know why, but I kind of feel like Doug Hewlick is struggling just a little bit with possibly some aero damage.
Pushed up there off of turn 2. Let's see if a push from Greg Palmer can keep him out in front. Hewlick, we know, was involved in the incident at the very beginning of the race, getting up into Jeremy Jeffries, so you could be right. Could be one of those trucks where it's better when it's following, not necessarily a good lead truck if he does have that aerodynamic damage. Holding for the moment, though. That push from the 22 gets him clear of the 4.
There it goes, yep. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know. He's been involved in multiple incidents today. For some reason, it was telling me, my insights were telling me that he was aero damaged.
The thing that makes this so difficult to call, at least right now, of who's advancing and who is not. The only driver we know for absolute certain is going to be eliminated is Terry Bombard. He was below the cut line coming in tonight, and he is not in the field as Palmer. Slick move there to the inside of Hewlick, going for the lead, trying to get back to the front. But I look at the drivers up here in this vicinity. Rodney Sullins, Grant Wesley, Bob Seminara, Jeremy Jeffries. Those 4 drivers coming tonight, 7 points separating them, and half of them were above the cut line, half of them were below the cut line.
Like I said, it's all about placing your car in the right place at the right time. But it's what is it? It's like everybody says. It's the old NASCAR saying. It's a chess match at high speed.
Yep. 195 mile per hour chess match.
You've got to position your pawns to be in the right place at the right time. Ooh, the 39 almost got shoved up into the wall there. That was close.
Boy, this is some late moves being made here going into turn 3. Palmer made a late move on Hewlick the lap before. Now Wesley shifts from the top to the bottom. He's trying to lead for the first time here tonight in that 88. Grant, of course, the defending champion, multiple-time champion here in the Tally Challenge.
Looking to try to be able to have a shot at defending his championship.
Absolutely. It's been a while since we've had a back-to-back champion, I think, and I would have to, I can't confirm this, but I believe, if I remember correctly, the last driver that won back-to-back championships here in the Tally Challenge was Joe DeSpirito, but
do we
was
know,
quite a number of seasons back.
Okay, so hold on, fill me in on this. So, this is a cutoff race, right, to the Final Four?
Yes.
Okay, so then why is the next race not the championship round?
Because last season was a change to the schedule where instead of just one race finale, it is a culmination of 2 races. The final round with the Final Four is 1 visit to BSR and 1 visit to Talladega.
Oh, okay.
So a lot more emphasis on consistency, if you will, for the championship than just one race and being in the right place at the right time. 3 wide there around the 5th position. Couple of your playoff drivers right in the thick of it there. Seminara in the middle, Sullins leading the third line. But Dave Melson there in the Wonder Bread Chevrolet up on that top. He was involved in both of the early incidents before lap 10. I believe actually he remember if he barrel rolled, but I know he definitely caught some air in the incident over in turn 4, but nice job fighting his way back up here to the front. Richard Martin in the 43, I know that he went head up into the outside wall in that turn 4 incident, and he's on that inside line, the John Deere Chevrolet. Last time by, he was scored in 13th, so after we saw some pretty good contact back in the first 10 laps of this race, a couple of drivers now with 20 some odd laps to go, they are mounting some pretty good comeback runs.
Absolutely. You know, it's still very different to see the 43 in John Deere colors and not STP colors.
It really is, but at the same time, I love the paint scheme.
Can't argue with that.
Jeremy Jeffries leading the outside line. We playoff driver versus playoff driver side by side here to the stripe. Looks like Wesley's Toyota Tundra is going to win out at least this lap. Grant, a couple of laps ago, led his first lap of the night. Jeremy has already led a lap, but trying to lead his second lap of the evening. Hey, remember when we saw Mark Paglia on his side on the back straightaway?
After
Within the first
flipping a
5
couple
laps?
times. Yep.
He is 7th, make that 8th truck in that outside line. That truck is still up to speed and still moving. Oh, contact! Grant into Jeffries. Jeremy Jeffries going to go all the way towards the back there as there's nobody up in the third lane.
Yeah.
Now he's got a couple that jump up there with him. That was Milt Surratt and might have been Craig Hagley, might have been the other one.
Was that a
Palmer.
bad bump maybe, or do you think that might have been
Either the 88 got the apron or he got tight and pushed up into the 1. There was definite contact. Fortunately, it was broadside contact, so it didn't spin Jeremy Jeffries around. Otherwise, we might have had big one number 3 here this evening.
2 wrecks? 2 wrecks, 3 cautions, 2 big ones.
And surprisingly, only 3 drivers out of the race. 31 drivers of our original 34 still running. All 31 on the lead lap, though I would say maybe in the next 5 to 6 laps, they might catch Tim Nofsker and put him a lap down again. He is running much slower lap times. I think he's about 3-4 seconds off the pace. Obviously dealing with a lot of back end damage that he sustained from the second caution of the night. Last time by, he was scored 24 seconds behind the leaders, which would be only about 24 seconds ahead of the leaders. He's half a lap down at this point in time. Well, at Super Speedway Racing, you are as much a diplomat as you are a driver, especially when it comes to playoff racing. You try and see if you can form alliances, get people to work with you, and I think Greg Palmer had to try and see if he could call in a lot of favors, get a lot of alliances here this week in a must-win situation. Drivers have been pretty loyal, keeping him out in front. Right now he's got Dante Ricky as his wingman. But, you know, do the alliances last in the closing stages, because we talk about it. Your friends are where you find them when you start getting to that point of no return, especially when the white flag waves, because a driver's mentality automatically shifts. It's like a light switch. It shifts from ally to enemy, because you know the first one back to that start-finish line is going to get the checkered flag.
Make for some very interesting racing, to say the least here. Well, Seth, it is after lap 46, so these drivers should be able to make it on fuel from this point on.
We keep bringing up the possibility a lot about the, as soon as that fuel window opens, come into pit road, and we've heard time after time after time the drivers say, nope, I want to come to pit road the latest I possibly can, because I want to spend the least amount of time on pit road taking on the least amount of fuel. So
But
we'll
Doug
see.
Kulik, Doug Heulick, though. That's going to be the thing. He's on that middle. He's in the middle lane, the outside lane, third car. If he's got a pit, it's it's going to be soon.
And if he's got a pit, you're probably going to see him try and fight to the bottom. Which right now there is no lane available to him. They are stacked up all the way back to
one car go below the line there, the yellow line back there.
Yeah, it was Crivello.
Oh, wreck in the back.
And the caution is out. Ron Hagelin.
Oh, another follow-up wreck. Follow-up wreck in the right here. Oh my God.
Surratt, Craig Hagley. Oh, Surratt is up and over. Brian Rawson was in the middle of that. Ken Roberts was involved.
Jessica Shelton seems to always find herself in the middle of these wrecks.
Hey, it's the FRN car. It gets us that good footage.
Well, ironically enough, I could see that her car is green, but I don't actually have the scheme. So if it's an FRN car, I can't see it. But it's got the right color.
Hard to tell any of these drivers here if they were involved or not. Glenn Harris or Cy Jones.
Oh, okay. So I saw what happened. The 56 who went on the yellow line tried to come up the pack or come up off the line and just turned the 111 car. And then the follow-up wreck, I don't even know what happened on that one.
Take you back to the tri-oval. Try and see if we can figure out what led to the 56 having to go below the yellow line. Was he forced? Let's see.
No, he just went. The 111 blocked him down there.
Oh, wow.
And then really didn't give him the lane to get back up. I mean, I don't know how you would call that.
I mean, you can't run the apron through the tri-oval. It's not really like the 56 had much of a choice.
Oh, and they were 4 wide up here, too. The follow-up wreck was Milt Surratt, just 4 wide.
Let's take another angle of this because I mean,
and then he really did grip.
The 111 wasn't even clear to come down. 56 was clearly to the inside. There was contact made, and then Crivello was trying to get his left sides up above the yellow line. Hagelin gave him no space to be able to do so. I don't blame the 56 for that at all. And we'll take a look at the incident after they had, I don't know if they had taken the caution. Was it just before the start-finish line?
He didn't even know he was right there.
Let's focus on the 80 of Milt Surratt.
He was stuck almost 4 wide as they took the caution.
I think Brian Rawson kind of came down off the wall. Got Milt Surratt in the right rear quarter panel. That was a big shot right there. Bottom of your screen. Ken Roberts into the 21.
Ken Roberts has officially gone behind the wall.
Big hit with the front end, so I wouldn't be surprised if he probably sustained some engine damage. Wiley Coate was involved in that wreck.
Well, we are under 20 laps to go here, Seth, and
yeah, this I think should be the final pit stop
we have
of the day.
I want to say about 15 to go, somewhere around there.
Yeah, they should be able to come down pit road and make it now.
Yeah, 15, 16 to go, so they should be able to come down pit road and make it. Tell you who this caution benefits, though. That would be the driver of the 23, Doug Heulick.
Yeah. Gained that track position. He was, I believe, 6th or 7th when they came around to take that caution. Compare that to where he was running before he went with the strategy call, which I think was around the 16th, 17th position. So a net gain for him. And here they all come down pit road. This is the proverbial money stop. And I don't know if necessarily it's important to be the first one off pit road, be that race leader, since there is still going to be quite a handful of laps left to go. Let's see. Bob Seminara was the leader coming in. He qualified 14th. Ooh, that's tight right there. Little contact between him and Grant Wesley. Oh, 3 wide off pit road. Oh, gosh. Muscling each other there as Palmer, I think, did win the battle off of pit lane with that early pit stop, but they nearly just the top 3 leaving pit road there. Palmer, Seminara, and Wesley, they nearly just wrecked.
Early pit stalls. Not stop, stall.
Yes. Did I say stop?
Stall. You said stop.
Oh. His early pit stop in his pit stall. Is that better?
No.
Okay. Well, since I'm in disgrace, we're going to go to a commercial break, and we're going to take you side by side. We'll be back here for what could potentially be the finish here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Brian Rawson currently the leader, but Greg Palmer should be inheriting the lead once we go back green. The following presentation of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series on the Flatout Racing Network is brought to you by Ultimate Garage Floors. Ultimate Garage Floors is very active in the garage remodeling community, staying current with the latest technologies and custom configurations so that we can bring you the highest quality installations. As a Northern Virginia Exposy flooring installer, we focus on garages and commercial flooring to perfect our craft and bring you high results. In a space that gets as much wear and tear as your garage, you want to be able to trust that the cabinets and flooring we install are ready to withstand against high traffic and regular use. That is why we include a lifetime warranty with our services so that you know we stand behind the quality of our work. To get started with a free consultation, call us at 540-931-9006 or visit us on the web at ultimategaragefloorsva.net. That's ultimategaragefloorsva.net. Lights out atop the pace truck. Like it's going to be 13 laps officially when we go back green, remaining in tonight's race. Just join us. This is the elimination race where we whittle it down from the Elite 8 to the Final 4 to compete in the next 2 weeks for the championship. Greg Palmer in a must-win situation. He's led the most laps here tonight, 22 circuits out in front for the 22, but he needs to lead the last one to win his way into the next round. Another playoff contender to his inside, that is Bob Seminara. Grant Wesley, another playoff driver, will restart in third. Chuck McClure is going to be fourth, fifth Josh Metallic, then playoff contender Brian Schilling in sixth. Richard Martin will be seventh, playoff driver Rodney Sullins in eighth. In ninth place is going to be Wiley Coate, and Mark Paglia is going to complete the top 10. The rest of the playoff contenders restart in the following spots: 15th for Bernie Mobbs, 16th for Jeremy Jeffries. And I believe that is all of our playoff drivers that are in the field here tonight. Green flag back in the air, and Michael, you documented it. Ken Roberts, the most recent driver, back in the garage area, joining Robbie Nices, Kelly Causey, and JT Mayhew. We do have one driver that is a lap down right now, would be in position for the free pass. Looks like under that caution period, Craig Hagley fell out of the server and has returned. So out of our remaining 30 drivers, 29 of them are on the lead lap.
Yep, should be a very interesting way with all these with the way things are right now. These drivers should be able to make it to the end without having to need another pit stop. So,
yep, now it's you got what you got, and also maybe a little interesting with the 32 now being scored a lap down. That means that any caution we have between now and the finish, an extra lap of caution is added on, so that might shift the point of no return lap.
Here we go. Seminara to the inside there. See if he can hold it down.
Seminara looking for his first victory on the season.
But the outside, look who's in second on the outside lane there. That's Chuck McClure.
Chuck McClure, recently eliminated from the playoffs, did not advance to the round of 8, got that win very early on in the season. I believe he actually was the winner of the season opener. Yes, he was. Got that early golden ticket into the playoffs. Had a rough patch, though, during that first round, and as mentioned, was not able to advance here into the round of 8, but that doesn't mean that he's any less hungry for another checkered flag here in season 59, as pretty even, these lanes. That middle line gets the advantage through the tri-oval and on the back straightaway, but that inside line surges ahead through the corners.
It does. It's the fastest way around on the inside, but the momentum stays with the outside on the straightaways. Here comes the third lane on the outside there, too.
Starting to form back there around the mid-pack for that extreme outside line. That's Jeremy Jeffries leading the charge.
So we're
loudest up there.
We're approaching 10 laps to go. This is the point where if you've been hanging out in the back, you got to start making your way up towards the front.
Yeah, you got to do something different, right? Because if you just run where you are, that's where you're probably going to finish. Hey, Jeremy Jeffries restarted back, I believe, was in the 15th position, so he is trying to gain positions, gain points, as he was very close to that cut line for the Final Four coming into tonight. He was actually below the cut line by 4 points. So he needs to get up there ahead of drivers like Bernie Mobbs and Bob Seminara to ensure that his 3 victories are going to translate into an opportunity to battle for the championship here. Time by, we're going to be at 9 laps to go. Target lap we always seem to look for is lap 62's completion. That's what we dub the point of no return. Caution comes out between then and the checkered flag. Race pretty much ends under yellow. We give the usual disclaimer that we stay up at the front, watch the battle back to the start-finish line, and then look at any subsequential replays either during the caution period or after the race is concluded. Palmer, for a moment, was clear of both lanes, but now Seminara battles back here on the inside. Kind of ironic when you look at the 2 drivers on the bottom there, Seminara and Grant Wesley, because those 2 were separated by 1 point coming into tonight. The 2 drivers just above or as the cut line. So if you're Grant, I think right now you're pushing the 712 for all you're worth, because if you can just keep the gap between you and the 31 and the 1, I think you both might be safe to advance into the Final Four. But still quite a bit of racing left to go. It's a 2.66 mile super speedway.
Wide.
And look at this. Chuck McClure putting Palmer in the middle. Gilling's gonna go with him. Sullins will stay to the middle with Palmer, and that's where the inside line says thank you very much, because the top 2, top 3 now get clear. Ooh, man, Schilling, I don't know if he got a bad bump or if I'm seeing him maybe having some connection issues, maybe a little side to side for the Square D Dodge. How close they're racing back in that 3-wide pack. You do not want to have connection problems. Look who just moved into 6th. Where did the KFC Chevrolet of Billy Elliser come from? Great drive for him here tonight. And look who else is moving up on that inside line. That's Bernie Mobbs in the 31, who came into this race just 3 points below the cut line, 5th in overall point standings for the playoff drivers. He's got a shot of maybe advancing. He's gotten around both Jeremy Jeffries and I believe Rodney Sullins. It'd be really close to whether maybe if he can maintain where he's at of him advancing into the Final Four. I don't think Bernie Mobbs has ever made it into the Final Four in his Tally Challenge career.
Well, he's going to have to stay where he's at in order to try to do that. So if I was him, I would just be trying to pick the lane that's moving, not necessarily going for the win. We've got 6 laps to go. 5.5 as they're cutting down the back straightaway here. So, but here comes the outside lane, rallying up another charge.
Here comes Richard Martin jumping up to the top there in front of Greg Palmer. You've got your top two playoff contenders in Seminara and Wesley, but look at the hungry drivers behind. Josh Metallic, Richard Martin, Joe DeSpirito. How hungry has he got to be after last week? A post-race penalty took his what we thought was victory at BSR. He's looking for some redemption 1 week later, right now running in the 4th position in the 24.
He can get clear. He could probably try to lead that outside lane, but you know, right now that these front two are going to be watching that rear view mirror to see how close that outside lane's getting.
Craig Hagley, by an update on the 32, he has actually DNF'd from the race. So that extra lap for a lap down car we were talking about, that's a moot point now, but I think we are to the point of no return here.
Yeah, we would be racing right now to the point of no return if they wrecked. 43 is inching. They're inching. 4 cars on the inside are faster than all the cars on the outside.
Now look at the gap from DeSpirito back to Billy Ellisers. Oh, contact there. Jeremy Jeffries got a little loose. Jim Glaude goes up the track in the tri-oval. They all keep it pointing in the right direction, at least for the time being, as we hit the line for 4 laps to go.
I feel like if the 39 moves up, the 88's going to move up with them, and then if the 712 is going to be one big block.
Well, we know that the 24 of Joe DeSpirito, the 712 Bob Seminara, they work together week after week, the Florida gang, so at least Seminara knows he would probably have someone to help him. Palmer trying to catch Richard Martin out there on that outside line, and as they continue to battle for 5th, the top 4 are kind of saying, you know, we could probably just sell this thing amongst ourselves because they keep stalling each other out from 5th place on back.
They just flat out moved the 43 back to the inside with that move.
And that actually might have helped him, to be honest, because it kept him in the 5th position. You saw a little door banging there between Chuck McClure and Greg Palmer for 6th. McClure's going to get that spot. 3 laps to go here at Talladega. Single file amongst the top 7. Now Martin's going to jump to the top, and nobody's going with him. Some help might be arriving in a little bit here, courtesy of the 4 Brian Schilling.
The outside lane's all broken up back there.
And they're going to maybe put the 43 in the middle. They are. Too much momentum. Schilling, Jeffries, Paglia. Going to stick him back down to the bottom. Talking about Richard Martin. As again, top 6, top 7, all single file, waiting, biding their time. But sometimes you can't wait too long because we've seen occasions where they're coming off of turn 4 in the tri-oval. A wreck happens mid-pack rear of the field, and there's not enough time to be able to generate a run, generate momentum. Dante Ricky was on the apron. I saw back there.
He's forced to 31. He's losing spots.
And he's able to make it back up safely. We stay green, at least for the time
Brian
being.
Schilling in trouble. Not spinning, but he was left out. He lost a bunch of spots right there.
2 laps to go, 1.5 here on the back straightaway. When does the move take place? If you make it, are you going to have a drafting partner to aid you in your endeavors?
And Grant Wesley win. We all know how he is when it comes to being in second place in the last couple laps. All they got to do is make it to the line.
But here is the thing. Right now, Seminara Wesley in position to make their way into the Final 4. Do you potentially throw that away with accidental contact and battling for the win? White flag in the air. Seminara's going to keep that thing down on the yellow line. Back straightaway, I think, is where we'll see the move, if there is a move. They're trying something back there around 6 with Jeffries and Schilling. Wesley content to ride behind the 712, point his way into the Final 4. Seminara looking for that victory. He's going to make that back bumper as wide as possible. McClure jumps up to the outside line. Metallic jumps up. Wesley jumps up. Does Seminara jump up? He's staying on the bottom.
He can't jump up. It's too late.
Oh, no. Let's see if he's able to pinch the 88 here. Oh, McClure's going to shoot the middle, maybe. Metallic gets stuck up in the top. Schilling up into the wall.
Grant Wesley's got it.
Grant Wesley is going to advance into the Final 4 with the victory here tonight at Talladega. And I'm looking to see how far back did the 4 fall, because he was only 13 points ahead of the cut line. Looks like they've got him scored in 8th. Seminara is going to bring it home in 3rd. That should be enough for him to advance. McClure finishes on the podium in second.
And then it was melee after the checkered flag.
Schilling fell back. Actually, he fell back to the 13th position. But he did lead a lap, so that's a bonus point for him. He finished ahead of Rodney Sullins. He finished just behind Bernie Mobbs, and Greg Palmer was in a must-win situation. So I may be incorrect, but if I'm eyeballing it here, I believe your final four are going to be Grant Wesley, Bob Seminara, Jeremy Jeffries, and Brian Schilling. Of course, we will wait for official scoring, official word from RTG admins, which we will hopefully have here before the conclusion of this broadcast. But I believe that the four drivers that will be eliminated and will not advance into the final four would be Greg Palmer, Terry Bombard, Rodney Sullins, and Bernie Mobbs. Grant Wesley, high pressure situations, we see this all the time. Wasn't a must-win situation here tonight, but it was an elimination race. Grant Wesley rising to the occasion this evening. That's Grant's second win on the season. His first win was all the way back in the early going, race number 2 at BSR back in the middle of May. So it's been a bit of a winless streak for driver 88, but he gets it done here tonight. Automatic, locked-in ticket into the final four. And only time will tell to see if this garners him some bonus points heading into that final four battle, the upcoming 2 races at BSR and Talladega in the next 2 weeks. Let's take a look at the finishing results from this evening. You see your top 3 finishers who we'll be talking with in just a little bit. Wesley, McClure, Seminara. Jeremy Jeffries, 4th place. That should garner him a final 4 position. Joe DeSpirito in 5th. Josh Metallic, 6th. Billy Elliser, 7th. Greg Palmer, great job here tonight. Was a must-win situation. Led the most laps this evening. 32 circuits out in front. Going to bring it home with 8th, just short of advancing. Doug Kulik will bring it home. Good comeback run for him as he gets 9th. And Dante Ricky going to complete the top 10. I believe we ended up having 3 Toyotas finish up inside of the top 10 here this evening. They're pretty outnumbered every single week. Bernie Mobbs, I think he's just short of advancing into the final 4. He'll get 11th. Glenn Harris, good run for him at 12th. Don't think we mentioned driver the 8 all night long. Very quiet evening for him, which was a good thing. Solid outing. Brian Schilling in 13th after that contact through the tri-oval. Jessica Shelton and Mark Paglia completing the top 15. Rodney Sullins will finish in 16th. Will not, looks like, advance into the final 4. Dave Melson, Richard Martin, Jeff Crivello, Mike Rogers were the top 20 as you look down through the remainder of the finishing results. Of all of our playoff contenders, they all finished up inside. It's like the top 16. All of them reached the checkered flag, but fortunately, some of them finished a little better than others, and that is why we are going to have a couple of drivers at the conclusion below the playoff cut line for the final 4. Well, as we wait for the official scoring to notify us of who the drivers will be that will battle for the championship, let's see if we can dial up our podium finishers here tonight. And let's kick things off with one of the drivers that I'm pretty certain is going to be advancing into the Final 4 to compete for yet another championship here in the Tally Challenge. Let's see if we can talk with Bob Seminara. Hey, Bob, it's Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey, haven't talked to you guys in a while.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a very consistent season for you, but we've not been able, as you said, to talk with you, finishing up here inside of the podium, but a big one here tonight, especially with the fact you came in tonight as the cut line driver and the points were really close above and below you. We ask a lot of drivers this down this home stretch that are playoff contenders, but maybe it's even more prevalent tonight than it has been in the past. How much big picture racing went on there on that final lap, and how much were you thinking more of just getting that first checkered flag of the season?
Oh, it was all big picture. I just needed to stay on the bottom, get a top 5. I pretty much had everybody I needed to behind me, so Yeah, I'll get my win sooner or later. It's been a while.
I was say, talk us through that last lap there. That was some pretty incredible racing from that last restart down.
Yeah, no, Grant was pushing good, and the third lane kept going in and out. Demar had a little bit of damage that was messing one of the lanes up, so I was committed to the bottom. Didn't know if Grant and Josh were gonna, I knew Grant was gonna get into the finals by riding behind me. I thought he might do that, but yeah. So it was wild, but I just stuck it down there on the bottom.
Now, obviously, this is the second season that RTG is implementing the double finale, if you will. Next week, we go to BSR Championship determined. The following week, when we come back here to Talladega. But, you know, last season, you weren't in the Final Four. So, you know, any strategy that you were able to garner from some drivers from last season or of what's happened here this season in preparation for your first dual finale here?
Yeah, I watched that pretty closely. I think, Joe was in there. I think you got to go for the win next week. Those extra bonus points for winning, if you don't do that, then you're at a real disadvantage that last race. So I'll be looking for a win next week.
We saw some pretty intense racing here tonight, a couple of early cautions, some big ones. Do you see next week as the more intense race based off of what you just said of drivers looking for, those maximum points going into the final race of the season? Or do you think that it will be when we come back here to Talladega where the intensity will ratchet up?
Yeah, there's, people just as smart as me, so they're probably thinking the same way. And BSR, projects that kind of racing. So I expect it to be really, really hard next week, really aggressive.
Well, Bob, congratulations on advancing into the Final Four. As you said, doing what you needed to do there on that final lap to make sure you pointed your way in and kept this truck in one piece. We look forward to seeing what you're able to do starting next week under the lights at BSR Raceway. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, I like to thank FRN, RTG. I enjoy racing here. Thursday nights is the best. Such tough competition. Shout out Shadows on Fire on YouTube, Q, and Mobs Motors, and all the boys where I used to work. All right, we'll see you next week.
Bob Seminara brings it home P3 here tonight and will be competing for the championship here in season 59 of the Tally Challenge. Congratulations once again, and best of luck next week when we head to BSR.
All right, thank you. See you then.
See if we can dial up the driver that brings it home second place here tonight, Chuck McClure. Hey, Chuck, Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Wild final lap there. A lot of playoff drivers in the mix. You're going for checkered flags. Really aggressive move. Almost got that shot up the middle to be able to pick up your second win on the season. What little more did you need? Because to be honest, it looked like the momentum was on your side. Did you just need maybe a drafting partner to get you that little extra edge to clip the 88?
Yeah, I just missed it. I maybe could have made my move a little bit earlier, and maybe it'd been different. But Grant's pretty tough, so maybe second the way that last half of my season's going is not so bad.
Yeah, it was pretty fun and excited to see that. Take us to from that final restart up. Like, I mean, it just got some pretty intense racing.
Yeah, I was trying to work with Brian Schilling and Rodney, but sometimes you just you have to go where you have to go, and you can't really wait on a guy. And it was pretty intense, but at the same time, that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun watching you work your way through the field as well. Evening didn't exactly start out the way I think you envisioned. Didn't get a good qualifying draw based off the random queue, and then we saw you caught up in that first incident on the back straightaway. Obviously, didn't appear to damage your truck. Still looked as speedy as ever. But I mean, something like that. How difficult was it to gain that track position back, be up where you were in the closing stages here tonight?
Yeah, I think I worked my way up to fifth or sixth. I don't know. Then like an idiot, I went through my pit a little bit and had to back up, and it was hard to catch back up after that. These guys are so good, but yeah, I was just kind of grateful, I guess, to get a shot at the end, and congratulations to Grant for the win.
So we just talked moments ago with Bob Seminara as a driver that's going to be in the Final Four. I want to get a non-playoff driver side of the story here heading into these final two races. Obviously, you guys are still out there trying to get checkered flags before the close of the season. Where do you see the non-playoff driver intensity ratcheting up? Is it next week, or do you think it's going to be in the official finale race when we come back here to Talladega, or do you think it's going to be in both of these races here in this final round?
I'd say probably both because those of us who are knocked out of the chase, we got something to prove. We want to finish in the top of us, the rest of us, I guess. So, yeah, so we got something that we need to prove, but and we all want to win, of course. So uh, yeah, I can see both races being more and more intense.
Well, a great run for you here tonight. Second place after the hardships you've had the last couple of weeks, as you documented. You started up the season with that checkered flag. Got a couple more shots to maybe end out the season with another checkered flag. Before I let you go, Chuck, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
First, I want to say a shout out to uh, Katie Evans. It was her 16th birthday today, I believe. I always run good on her birthday, so happy birthday, Katie, and all the people at Marshall County Schools that I work with, of course, all the admins and stuff here at RTG, and you guys at FRN. You put on a great show. It's always fun to watch. Yeah, it's been a rough season, but I'm glad to be talking to you again.
Chuck McClure, second place here tonight at Talladega. He'll look to carry this momentum into BSR next week. Congrats on the good run, and we look forward to seeing what you do in these final two races this season.
Appreciate it, guys.
And let's see if we can go down to victory lane and dial up tonight's race winner. He has won his way into the Final Four, looking for back-to-back championships and 3 championships in the last 4 seasons. Let's see if we can get a hold of Grant Wesley. Hey, Grant, it's Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yep, I got you.
Well, we documented your 2 previous championships. In those 2 seasons, we've seen you in must-win situations. It wasn't a must-win situation here tonight, but you only had a little bit of an advantage over the cut line. So, were you treating this as a must-win type race, or because you were up there at the front near the end, you just thought, you know what, let's go for the checkered flag. We're in the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I had to treat it as a must-win with all those other guys running so well the entire race. I was really hoping we get a green flag pit stop and maybe, I'd be in that lead draft and have 9 or 10 trucks and be able to just ride around, and just point my way in. But yeah, I got down to the end, and I mean, it was like 7 of the 8 or 6 of the 8 chasers were right up there, and there's only 4 or 5 points between us. So I mean, you can lose that many positions in one lap easy here. So I was on the edge of my seat. I was riding there right behind Bob. I had Bob and I had Josh behind me, and I seen Joe was behind Josh. And I know that Joe and Bob work well together and stuff. So I felt pretty safe being on the bottom with that group of guys. With 4 or 5 laps to go, with the second and third lane, they were kind of fighting back and forth over, who was going to be where, and that really helped our cause a lot. And is smooth sailing that last lap. That bottom lane prevailed, and I seen an opportunity to go for the win there in the last corner. I was going to make the move late. I didn't want to make it too late. But yeah, it worked out. Josh, thanks to Josh Metallic for that awesome push. And then he got a run, and I hated to block him. He just helped me, and I blocked him. I used him up. I'm going to have to pay back the favor eventually. But yeah, I'd like to thank Josh for the win there.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy watching those final couple laps. I mean, I noticed you in riding around second place there. I told Seth in the broadcast, I was like, oh, look who's in second place, Grant Wesley. And we all know how he is when it comes to having a shot at winning this race. Seth was just like, he's probably just going to ride there knowing he's in the points. I said, nah, I know Grant Wesley better than that.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I was thinking points. I wasn't, running a bunch of numbers in my head, but I knew I needed to be in front of most of those guys that were around me. So, like I said, I felt pretty safe where I was at. I was content to push Bob all the way, but just with the way it worked out with the second and third lane fighting so hard, it created that opportunity for me to make that late race move.
So, second season where we're doing the dual races for the final round. Next week, BSR, we come back here to Talladega in 2 weeks. Most points accumulated by the end of those two races is going to determine our champion. You're the only driver that has won the championship with that type of format last season. As of right now, it looks like the only other driver that was in that Final Four, Brian Schilling, going to be moving on. So some newer competition. And last season, you won the championship by 1 point. So is there anything from last year's format that you can take and apply to the format here this season, like little tricks of the trade, things you might do different to maybe make it a little bit easier on yourself in that finale, have a little bit more sizable of a gap in winning this championship?
Yeah, just consistency, especially in the final two races. You don't have to win. I mean, you get 3 extra points for getting that win, but a win doesn't really get you anything. So just make sure you're in front of those other three drivers. That's the main thing. But I know they're going to be tough.
We heard from Bob Seminara just moments ago. He said that he thinks that, especially for the Final Four, the emphasis for the most part is going to be on next week's race, so that way you're not in a deficit, not in a hole going into the finale. Do you concur with that, or do you think that it can be spread between both races?
Oh, absolutely. I race better on defense. I don't like whenever you're chasing a guy. That puts you in situations that you may not want to make a certain move. If you got the points lead going into the final race, you're the guy that's on defense, and that's where I want to be. So yeah, I totally agree.
Says he's better on defense, yet we have broadcast footage of him winning at least two must-win situation races. I think he's good on offense too. But Grant, obviously, able to be on offense here tonight. Get that momentum heading into those final two finale races, advancing into the Final Four. Amazing run you've been on, looking for what would be your third championship in 4 seasons and looking to be the first back-to-back champion in what's been, I think, about 10 seasons. So looking to chase some pretty historic numbers, but good start here tonight to advance in the Final Four with your second win on the season. Before we let you get back to your celebrating, we're going to hand the mic over to you for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, it would be insane if I could get back-to-back championship runs. So yeah, I'm going to push hard. I'd like to congratulate my fellow chasers going into the next two races. Bob, Brian, and Jeremy. They're all class acts, and they're going to be tough. They've had an awesome season so far. They've got momentum on their side as well, and it's going to be a heck of a fight. I'd like to thank the owners here: Sean Prime, David Cannon, the admins: Josh, Wiley, Tim. I'd like to thank you guys, FRN, for the broadcast, Mike and Seth. I'd like to thank my teammates with XFM, my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend, Brittany.
Grant Wesley brings home the checkered flag here tonight. He'll be one of the four to battle for the championship starting next week. Under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Best of luck then. Congrats on the victory this evening. Enjoy it, and we'll see you go to work. Try to get that second straight championship here in the Tally Challenge.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Wild finish here this evening. They have updated the points. Tentatively, your final four to compete for the championship are Grant Wesley, who mentioned the defending champion of the series, Brian Schilling, who won the championship 2 seasons ago, multi-time champion of the series, Bob Seminara, former champion, who brought it home on the podium tonight, and the final spot goes to Jeremy Jeffries, 3-time winner this season. All 3 of his wins at the track we're going to next week at BSR, and this is really, Michael, the only championship that has eluded him. I believe he's a champion over in Barebones, a champion in the Aero 88 series. He was, I think, a champion in the Winston Cup series on Tuesday night. So this is the one championship that has eluded him. It's kind of odd when you say that a 3-time winner on the season is going in as the underdog, but he's the only one of the Final Four that has not got a championship trophy.
And that's going to make him even more hungrier for it, Seth. I feel like he's going to put on a heck of a show for us to watch over these next 2 races.
Absolutely. Obviously, commiserations to Rodney Sullins, Bernie Mobbs, Greg Palmer, and Terry Bombard. They have been eliminated from the playoffs as only 4 are moving on. By the way, I took the opportunity during the Grant Wesley interview to look back. Seasons 53 and 54, last time we had a back-to-back champion, and that was Joe DeSpirito. So it's been a while since we've had a driver be able to go back-to-back. Grant Wesley will be looking to do that. Brian Schilling looking to get his second championship in 3 seasons. And for Bob Seminara, I'll have to get this for you guys next week. I'm trying to remember what season it was where he won his last championship. I think it might have been season 48 or 49. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but I'll have that information when we come to you next week, which begins the final round. Very unusual, where we're going to have 2 races in the final round to determine the championship. It's not a 1 race and done. It's going to be a total of 132 laps over the course of 2 racetracks, where we're going to find out who is the best of the best in hoisting that championship trophy. Will it be Wesley, Schilling, Seminaire, or Jeffries? Join us next week here on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway as we begin that journey.
Part
Michael,
one.
wild one here tonight. As we heard from Grant, 6, 7 of them all up there within the top 10 in the closing stages. We kind of had to wait till the dust settled to see who the final 4 were moving on, but based off of who those advancees are, it should be a good one. I appreciate you joining me up in the booth for this one here tonight.
Absolutely. It was fun. Glad to be back. Can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Thanks to everybody that tuned into our coverage here tonight. Hope that you enjoyed it. We'll see you next Thursday night as we continue on the 59th season of the Tally Challenge here. Who's going to be winning that championship? Wesley, Schilling, Seminaire, or Jeffries? We'll find out next week. Until then, for Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your week, folks. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
Bye-bye.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support